from Miranda Edge, the A&R Extension Educator in Harrison County. Today I want to talk a little bit about preparing your gardens for this year's season of growing vegetables and fruit and anything else that you're interested in producing for this year. You'll see behind me, my garden is freshly disked and we'll be working on tilling that today. I've already started on a section of it. And you can see my tiller, and I've been working a little bit of the soil. So we're going to try to get it all leveled out and ready to go so that I can start to plant. Now the things I've done before I started was to add a compost to the top of my garden before it was disked so that we could incorporate that into the layers of soil. That particular compost comes from the chickens that live here on my property, as well as some cattle manure that was incorporated in with bedding materials to create that compost mix. Now I say compost because it is not a fresh manure. It has been allowed to sit and decompose so that it's a safe product to add to my garden. It should not have any parasites, it should not have any pests, and it should not have a hot nitrogen source. Speaking of compost, a good way to start is to create 3 bins to where you can have an active bin where you're adding to it. You have one that is working and moving, and one that is complete that you can take from to add to your garden to increase your soil quality. This is a very easy process. As you can see, these are just pallets and very simple to do. Making a good compost includes a mixture of carbons and nitrogens, and that can be in the form of manures, of plant materials. It can be shavings and hay, and it can be other soil types that would have microbes that would help with the breakdown of those products. Okay, so now we have plowed and tilled our garden down. It's nice and soft. I even have some extra helpers here in the background trying to break up some of those dirt clods and find those bugs and worms. I noticed while I was tilling that the worms were pretty prolific, so that's a good thing to see in a garden. If you don't have access to a tiller, or you have thought about trying a no-till method, here is an option that you might be able to use if you are looking to be a little bit more sustainable, and we'll go through a little bit of the options on how to get started. This garden started several months ago with trying to lay down some black plastic to kill off the grass in advance of adding on compost materials like the straw bedding and some horse manure, chicken manure to this area. And then you'll also see some cardboard. These are all ways to reduce the weeds in the area, as well as adding some nutrients as those items start to break down. So this particular garden, the owner is going to be able to go through and make holes in the top bedding area, cut down to the soil, and then plant their transplants to make it easier for the plants to grow without any weeds, and it will be easier to manage. The next thing we'll do is to mark our rows and make a decision on where to start and what will be planted where. I am taking into account where my tomatoes and where my squash and where my cole crops were placed last year, so that I can do a little bit of rotation and hopefully reduce the amount of diseases that we'll see later on in the year. Until next time.